Scheduled program. Kendra, I'm going to highlight you for everyone on here so that it shows up a little bit better in the stream. And there we go. Um, Kendra Blevins with GE Aerospace. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. Honored to be here and talk about our company and our site. So I am Kendra Blevins. I am the official title is Lead Manufacturing Specialist. Official title that I go by is Site Training Leader. So I'm the training leader here at the West Jefferson site.
Now, how do you like it up there?
It's good. Every day is a challenge. It's a good workforce, a good company to work for. We've got good problems going on right now, so I'm excited to kind of deep dive into that as we go along through our discussion. So it's a good place to be right now.
That's great. Well, I guess we should just kick it off with, can you tell me a little bit about GE Aerospace and its history in the high country?
Yeah. So if you see me looking around, I have four screens in front of me, so excuse my eyes. So West Jefferson, the local site here, it was a part of a Smith's Aerospace acquisition. So Smith's Aerospace bought a few sites in North Carolina and South Carolina back in 2005. And so GE acquired, beforehand we were aviation, now we are aerospace. They acquired Smith's Aerospace in 2007. So we've been GE since 2007 at this site locally. Um, there's also an Asheville site that was acquired in that joint venture as well. So what started out with about 60 employees when Smiths acquired GE, we're well over 300 now and looking to grow more into 2026 and 2027. So within our site as well, we have four contractors as well. So they handle anything from maintenance, tool buying, security, things of that nature. And then so a little bit of history on the site. So in 2015, we were awarded a contract and we were able to double our headcount and double our size of our facility. And so, as you've probably seen in some of the news, there is a large investment going back into the business of GE Aerospace, and we're a part of that. So we are getting another expansion. So the site's been awarded two expansions in 10 years, which is highly unusual, but it's a strong testament to the site's workforce and their drive.
So, with something like that, where you go basically six times your size of employees, like what's the culture like going through that, and where does it kind of stand now?
Yeah, so we are very driven and family oriented here at our site. The location of our site, because we are in rural North Carolina, we're about 3 hours from the closest airport, and so um, we thrive on we take what is given to us and we make it faster and we make it more efficient. And so, our site does not back down from a challenge, and that's a testament to being in this area and working with your hands and what you have. So, we have actually been awarded other parts from some of our sister sites up north because we do it faster and more efficient. And so we took on that production work here. And then, what really makes us unique is our people. We support each other in the good and the bad times. We have a strong sense of supporting one another. So if somebody has a family death or there is a birth or somebody's out for surgery, it's not unusual to have a card floating around, people taking up money to send to those employees or flowers being sent to a funeral home or to somebody's home, or just traveling, trying to help them cover some travel expenses if they have a family member in the hospital and they're traveling back and forth. It's really our people, and a cool fun fact about our site is we have a lot of musically talented people in our
Really?
site. And so there's a guitar sitting downstairs in our front lobby. And at lunchtime, which is bit about now, you'll hear people downstairs playing guitar, singing. They'll bring their own instruments in the shop. So it's really a testament to this area and the people. That's what makes us unique.
So, yeah, I guess that kind of covers the internal culture. How does GE Aerospace engage with, like, I don't know, local Western North Carolina community outside of employment, just sort of at large?
Yeah. So we have at our site, we have a GE volunteers committee. And anytime an event or a sponsorship request comes in, they make the ultimate decision of whether or not they want to support that. Um, so just this year, I believe, we have supported the Blue Ridge Brutal, which is a big bike race that happens. Oh, sorry, my light, it's on a sensor. Um, we supported a big bike race, and it starts, I believe, in Virginia and ends in Asheville, I believe. We have a what's called Project Christmas Child. So that is sponsored through a religious program in Ashe County. So GE doesn't directly support that. It is all employee funded. And we've been supporting that initiative ever since we became GE. And so I think we're over 150 or $200,000 over the years that we've supported that. We take 100 kids who are um, within the poverty level, and they submit cards that basically tell us, I think it's birth to 18 that we take, and on the cards it tells us, it tells us like a child name, age, and sizes, and what their interests are. And employees fundraise throughout the year, and at the end of the year, it's about that time for it is, we'll get those cards and we give employees 75 or $100 back, and they'll go and buy for that child. So it's something that the employees feel very strongly about, and it's all employee driven. We do local blood drives. We sponsor Partnership of Ash, which is a child advocacy program. Shoes for kids. So we have donated to raise money to buy shoes for kids in the school system that don't have them. Habitat for Humanity. We do golf tournaments that support student scholarship programs, our local hospital, our local law enforcement. Um, we do sponsorships for fall festivals for our local elementary schools. We sponsor school sports. I think we did a $5,000 5-year contract where we sponsor all sports for the high school and middle schools. And then diving a little bit deeper, we have a women's network here, and we have a veteran network, a women's network, and a disability advocacy network here, and that are active, and they support different things. But our women's network in particular supported senior citizens and nursing homes, so giving them little goodie bags. And then we do supply drives for the cancer center patients. We do New River cleanup. And then when Hurricane Helene happened, we sponsored employees just to go out in the community and rebuild bridges, rebuild homes, rebuild roads. So we just said, hey, look, we know there's a need, go do it. And so we allowed employees, I mean, a lot of them they had their own homes destroyed, and they were going and fixing other people's homes. So it's a real testament to this community and these folks.
Well, give me one second here. I'm working on a little bit of the audio for the live stream.
Yeah.
Um, okay. 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 Technical difficulties.
No
Second.
problem.
Okay, testing. All right. It seems like it's working. Okay. So we had a question come in from the chat,
Mhm.
and what I'm looking at here in our next question kind of covers some of that. What are the key priorities for GE Aerospace over the next 5 years, especially in manufacturing and roles?
Yeah, so I'll list a couple of things that are key priorities for our site in particular, and then the last one I'll list is for aviation or aerospace as a whole. So for us locally, because of our expansion and needing additional employees, it's finding the workforce that either has the skill sets we're looking for or they have the aptitude to learn. That's something we run into a little bit. And then a priority around um, because we are rural and our housing is not the easiest to come by in this area. So, working with our local officials here to figure out affordable housing and childcare for families that are coming into the area, whether they're from other GE shops or just other areas coming into GE. So, trying to find that balance and, how do we, you know, how can we be a voice to figure out how to get some of that affordable housing in. And then the last piece locally is building a pipeline within local schools. So that being middle schools or high schools, and then feeding that pipeline into the local community college of Wilkes Community College, and to allow us to have qualified candidates by the time they're coming out of high school or by the time they're finishing their 2-year degree, so that we have qualified people for all the types of roles that we have within our site. And then Aerospace as a business, in March of 25, they announced that they are doing a $1 billion investment in U.S. facilities and supply chains. And so it is to increase the use of innovative new parts and materials and that will increase engine safety, quality of the engines, and the delivery of the engines. And so it includes anywhere from commercial and military engines and their parts, CMC, which is ceramic matrix composites. So they're much lighter and easier to make, and they're a lot smaller parts. Our Asheville site makes something of that nature. And then additive manufacturing or 3D printing. So it's pretty cool. They're taking, these types of metal fibers, for lack of a better word, and they're 3D printing engine parts. So it's pretty cool to see because they're lighter and they're faster, kind of like your car. You're looking for fuel savings, and that's the same concept, taking it into engines as well.
So with those roles, you've got paths for career advancement. Obviously, when someone comes in and takes on like an entry level type role, um, we hear an awful lot about apprenticeships. Can you kind of explain maybe what that looks like at GE Aerospace?
Yeah, so we don't necessarily have an apprenticeship right now. It's something we are looking at in the future for our site. Our sister site in Wilmington just launched a apprenticeship with Cape Fear Community College, and we have been fortunate enough to have a high interest in our roles. But as far as brand new employees coming in, whether they're doing machining or inspection, they have the opportunity, it's self-driven, to advance. We have 4 tiers above the apprentice level position, and it involves either classroom training, skill set training that we do in-house, assessments that we do in-house, and then interview skills. So some of those roles do have to be interviewed for, because they're the top tier and they're the top paying roles that we have in the shop on the hourly side. But there is opportunities for employees to advance as far as they want to, if they so choose to go into a salary position. That's an option too. They're welcome to apply as long as they meet the qualifications. They're welcome to apply to salary positions. And then we also have some specialized roles in our shop that may require or may allow an employee to become a certifying agent. So that's an also a much and more advanced skill set on top of that. So there is a lot of opportunities, and they don't have to stay within West Jefferson. If their role is remote, if their role is in Wilmington, if it's in Durham, if it's in Vermont, they have the opportunity to put in for the role. If they get the role, most of the time there is a relocation package included, and they have the opportunity to reload to wherever the position may be.
So, like, if I am beginning in one of these entry level roles, now, first off, I guess, so when we're talking apprenticeships, generally speaking, you're going to need to go to a site that has a program like that, partnered with a community college in some way. Okay.
Yeah.
But I go to West Jefferson, I start today,
Hmm.
and over time, decide that I want to learn this, that, or the other thing. Is it a matter of, am I doing this on a computer? Am I doing this by watching somebody? Like, what's it look like for the person in that position that's trying to upskill?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. We have classroom training that is done either on computer or in classroom, or they are on the shop floor doing on the job training. So they're watching somebody else, but they're training each other back and forth. So one person may already be certified to run that process and that part. And so they're training with that person to learn that process and that part so that they can advance their skill set and become cross-trained and be able to run more parts and machines across each line, depending on what they want to advance through.
I see. So before even getting to that, a candidate, a job seeker is going to have some set of skills to get in the front door. What are you looking for that makes candidates really stand out in manufacturing, machining, um, inspection roles?
Yeah, so, desired characteristics are obviously, first of all, manufacturing experience, being exposed to that. But blueprint reading, um, experience with measuring equipment. So that could be anything from dial calipers, micrometers, bore gauges, depth gauges, working with tolerances, just those different types of skill sets. Those are desired characteristics. If you're looking for a salary position, it may require some form of higher education, associates, bachelor's, master's. It just kind of depends on the role. But we look for those desired characteristics: being humble, transparent, working in a teaming environment. Um, but they're not required because we do so much at our site. We do so much in-house training that we train you on what we need you to do. So,
See,
yep.
is there like I don't know, any sort of gold standard certification that really sticks out when you see applications?
I mean, anything as far as like a welding. So we do a different type of welding here. It's not your MIG and TIG welding. It's inertia welding. So there's not really a certification for that. But if you have welding experience, construction experience, heavy equipment operator, you're working with your hands. There's not a set thing that we look for as far as like um, or even military. We hire a ton of people that have been in the military. We hire people that have worked in fast food. We hire people that's worked in Walmart. We have hired school teachers. I mean, it's really about how you present yourself on your resume and highlighting, your skill sets of what you've learned or obtained, whether that's coming out of high school or being in the workforce for a short or extended period of time. Um, that's how our shop operates. Now, our sister sites like Asheville and Wilmington and Durham, they definitely have more different requirements than us. Durham is our assembly shop, so they are looking for aviation technicians, and there's a certain program that you have to go through to be qualified. Our Asheville sister site, they are looking for a minimum of 1 year manufacturing experience, whereas our sister site in Wilmington, they may be looking for they are looking for 2 year CNC degrees, or industrial engineering degrees. So each site is a little different. Each site's having to change up a little bit, minus Durham, with it being an assembly, it's more of the FAA requirement there. But the other sites are looking more to how are you training people that are coming straight off the street that have limited or no manufacturing experience. So things are changing just because the workforce is changing.
I can understand that. And
Yeah.
we see, here at NC Works, really, job seekers of all different, abilities, experiences, and things like that. One of the questions that we always kind of get is, if a person comes through and they've got a background, maybe a couple dings here and there,
Yeah.
you know, what's it look like for them in this role? I mean, most of these positions, they require a security clearance, so that's going to make it kind of tough, right?
Yeah, so we do not hire felons, anybody that has any type of felonies, because we are Department of Defense contractors. So we are not allowed to hire anybody that has a felony. Misdemeanors, it is more of a case by case basis as far as that goes. And it would be up to the hiring leader for that site as to whether or not and if a candidate discloses that. We have had instances in the past where somebody's background check came up and we had no idea. And so when it was a little bit of a blind side. So, just being upfront and honest with us. We had a candidate probably about 2 years ago who, in their younger days, they're probably in their mid-20s, mid to late 20s now, um, said, hey, in my younger days, young and dumb, got wrapped up in some stuff, had some charges on them, but they were misdemeanors, and they disclosed that. And so we knew the story, we knew the background. There was enough separation from the offense to when they had applied that once they disclosed that and the background check came back and we asked for more details about it, depending on the charges, our legal team and our site HR was like, we're okay with hiring them, and they're a great employee today. So it kind of goes by case when it comes to misdemeanor, but absolutely not on felonies.
Well, that makes some sense. The other side of that though is, especially when you're young, you're, 13, 14, you're in school and you're kind of looking at careers like this. Manufacturing, GE Aerospace, these technologies, they're only going, further up from here. What would you recommend for, say, students that were wanting to do this in the future? Like, what should they do now in school? Like,
Yeah. So looking into your trades, your CTE programs, um, understanding construction, how to read a tape measure. A lot of people don't know how to read a tape measure anymore. They don't understand how to use a hammer or a screwdriver or things of that nature. So getting into some of the trade classes, whether that's auto body, if that's construction, carpentry, um, I'm trying to think of all the different ones, but using those hand-eye trade skills that, we're looking for that. We can teach you how to run a machine, but do you have the foundational knowledge coming in that we can build upon that to make you a successful employee? So that, those are the things that we really look at as far as like entry level and getting on the machinist or inspection roles. Just having those basic foundations is what we're looking for.
What does a successful first 6 to 12 months for machining look like for somebody?
Yeah, so at our site, brand new employees are on a 6 month or 180-day probationary period. And so they have three checkpoints during that time at 60, 120, and 180. And during those checkpoints, they are graded on safety, quality, attendance. Do they have their apprentice level training completed? Do they have their what's called a CVP or characteristic verification plan, their stamp? Do they have that? Have they completed those requirements? Um, and then different types of assessments throughout that time frame. And so we use those first 6 months to really gauge that employee and taking feedback from their coworkers and their peers. And then we also have a partnership with Wilkes Community College through the NC Edge or customized training that we send folks there too. So they are training and getting exposure to our parts and our equipment. So they're not so deer in the headlights when they come back to us. But those first 6 months is really about getting your foundations, making sure you know how to run the machine, make sure that you're successful, because once you go to your permanent shift, which is second or third, there's less of a support system there, meaning there's not like our process engineers or our quality engineers. Our support team is, most of them leave by 4 or 5 during the day, and so there's less of a quote unquote salary person on site. So that's the first 6 months. And then after 6 months, you have the ability to start progressing to your next level. So, first 6 months, getting your foundations, the next 6 months, you're looking to advance. And so by year one or 1 year of service, you can promote to that next level if you so choose. And then it's more around performance evaluations and continuing to get the requirements that are needed at each level for somebody to promote. Again, it's self-driven. We don't say, thou shalt be an operator machinist or a journeyman machinist. It's really self-driven. As far as once they get their foot in their door, like we have employees that waited 10 years to advance just because they felt more comfortable being at the level that they were at and weren't ready to advance. We don't push that on employees.
So I guess you kind of answered to a certain extent, but there's the job is very heavy on independent machine operation, obviously. But like what sort of, and we kind of bring this up, I guess, to give it some context, the idea that the soft skills are still very important, in these manufacturing jobs. But where do you see teamwork and collaboration in these roles?
So each at the beginning and end of each shift, there is a 15-minute crossover. And so during that time, that is when it is whoever the incoming employee and the outgoing employee, that's where they're talking about what happened during the shift and how far did they get. Did the machine crash? Did a insert break? Did something not measure correctly? Did they hear chatter in the machine? So it gives them that opportunity to document and talk to their incoming peer. And then maybe that just needs to be taken to the next level. So we are very much on a what's called a lean transformation or a lean journey. And so we're looking, types of waste. And so they're communicating, hey, it makes no sense to have my inserts on this side of the shop when they should be on this side of the shop. And it cuts their steps down. So that constant mindset of lean journey and that lean transformation, so they can explain and make things more, we're taking the waste out to make it easier for the employee to operate. So if you've ever heard the word of a Kaizen, it's a Japanese term that comes from the Toyota
Continuous
production company.
improvement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so continuous improvement. So we have multiple Kaizen events throughout the year that include process engineers, quality engineers, my training myself. It could be outside other shops, GE people. It could be anybody. I've been to Indiana. I've been to Massachusetts. I've been to South Carolina. I've been to multiple sites to just come in as fresh eyes to offer an outside perspective to help collaborate and have team involvement so that you're just making the process better. You're just trying to make it better and lean it out for that operator so they're not having to run from one side of the shop to the other. So they're constantly talking, and safety issues. Safety is number one. That it doesn't matter. Safety is number one, quality's two, and then production's third. And so, if there's an issue going on where an employee may get hurt, where there's ergonomics or something like that, hand raise, that's where we stop the flag. So that communication and constantly talking to people and observing and making notes of what's happening in the shop. That's how we really deep dive into teamwork and collaboration just to make it easier because we all want to go home the same way we came in the door. 10 toes, 10 fingers. We all wear, steel toes and safety glasses. So we all want to go home the same way we came in.
Well, let me ask you this on top of that.
Yeah.
If you're an applicant and you know that you've got those skills, right?
Yeah.
Or that, like, how do you make that stand out on a resume? Because I mean, that is probably the only shot that you've got right off the bat to get in front of somebody. But how can a candidate kind of, push those high points out?
Yeah. So for me personally, when I'm looking at resumes, I don't want a job description. A job description turns me off immediately because I just want to know what was your contribution. So if you participated in 5 Kaizen events and each Kaizen event was continuous improvement or removal of waste or whatever, like throw those bullet points that out there. Like if you save the company, I don't know, $10 million, just an example. Those are the key points that I want to know. I don't need your job description. I want to know what was your contribution to whatever that success of that company was while you were employed there.
That makes
That's
sense.
yeah, that's my personal take on it because I look at thousands of resumes over the years, and you could tell pretty quickly folks that have taken the time to build a resume.
Is there any advice that you'd give to someone who's thinking of applying, but they aren't sure that they meet every qualification in the job description?
Yeah, apply anyway, because like I said, we take people from all different backgrounds in our site, and just making sure your resume is up to par. I go as far as even saying, if you're not using, NC Works, I know you all offer resume writing skills. For myself personally, when COVID happened and we were all furloughed for 3 to 4 months, however long it was, I reached out on LinkedIn and found a resume writer, the best $300 ever spent. It's because they took the time and revamped my entire resume. So, I mean, you may not have to go to that extreme, but just, showcasing those skill sets and those things that we are looking for in the job description and Googling the job, what does a machinist do? What does an inspector do? We put a pretty extensive list on um, attributes and responsibilities that we're looking for in a candidate. So, just making sure that you're tying your experience to those key responsibilities or things that we're looking for.
That makes sense. Well, I will open it up for more questions. We did kind of cover it, but if we want to revisit, what types of skilled workers are you looking for as you plan for expansion? Is a question in the chat.
Okay. Um, so I have our job description on my screen right here, our job posting over here. So um, we, and we disclose this. I mean, this is public. Anybody can Google GE careers and working in West Jefferson. But for some of the key responsibilities is, being able to the responsibility is operating CNC machines or inspection equipment or special processes. So that could be NDT. So that is non-destructive testing. So it could be what is called FPI, which is fluorescent penetrant inspection. So you're taking it apart, you're dropping it in a penetrant, and you're putting it under a black light. And that is for looking for cracks that the naked eye can't find. Um, and so just as far as those are the different type, just to kind of give you some details about, of what skills you may be running on a process, but making sure that you're quality minded, you have attention to detail, you're punctual, showing up on time, that it sounds silly, but you'd be surprised, and I'm sure you all see it as well, but how many people don't know how to show up on time for work. Um, Making sure that you understand like forklift training. We have forklifts in our shop. We have pallet jacks in our shop. If you have experience running that, shipping experience, inspection experience. So we have a lot of different avenues that we are looking for that could a potential employee could be placed in. On the entry side, of course, salary, it has its own set of qualifications that they're looking for. But as far as on the hourly side, those are things that we're looking for.
Notice that when you go in to apply, you can apply with LinkedIn, you can upload your resume, it'll fill out an awful lot of that information for you. Um, you know, are you seeing, I guess, in your role, are you seeing that folks have success kind of taking any particular approach, like going with LinkedIn over going with traditional resume? Is there any?
We've seen where when we're looking at LinkedIn resumes, it's just giving us a summary page. It doesn't, and I don't know if that is candidate driven or if that's software driven, but we're just seeing a thing where it just gives their LinkedIn link at the top of their resume and it gives a name and then the location and maybe one job or one place of employment on there, and it doesn't give us any dates. It's not giving us any details. And again, I don't know if that's you know consumer driven or if that's software driven when they upload, but we don't. It's not giving us any relevant information to be able to assess that candidate.
So it behooves one, I guess, to go in and kind of do it manually as much as possible.
Yeah, still upload it and let it auto populate, but then also attach your resume, whether
I,
it's doc, PDF, whatever the case may be.
oh,
So,
that's well, outside of that, folks, if you've got any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I see Freddie's got maybe the start of a question there.
yeah. So an associate's degree in cybersecurity. Yeah, so we do have GE has changed the terminology from IT, information technology, to DT, which is digital technology. Um, so those postings are also given on, if you're looking for something within GE, a lot of those roles are digital, or sorry, a lot of those roles are remote. And so they're all posted on the GE careers page. They will say if it is site specific or if it has multiple sites listed, it could be remote. But there is all of those postings are posted on the GE careers page. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but
You know, it looks like that's pretty much the questions that we've got. I'll give everybody some time. Oh, looks like, oh, there we go. So thank you. Yes, you did. I'll give everybody their time back, and of course, this recording will be available almost immediately on Facebook, as well as the link will be available going forward. But as we close, let me ask this question. I don't know what you can and can't answer due to security clearance, but what's the coolest thing you've seen them make up there?
oh, um, We used to make, we don't anymore, but we used to make the cones, the black cones that you see on the front of the engines if you've ever flown that has the swirl on them.
Yeah.
We used to make those here. So rotating one direction is us, and one rotating the other direction is our competitor, Pratt and Whitney. So it's pretty cool to. We used to make those here, but I guess a thing that I've experienced is our location is right in the flight path of, I believe, Cherry Point and maybe another military base, but they fly over so often, and we make the jet engine parts for those fighter jets that are coming over. So we're literally getting to see the product fly over our heads and hear it, and then having, I mean, I flew 2 weeks ago, and I was able to understand that the engines I was flying on products were made in West Jefferson. So it's pretty cool to tie it all together that we you're flying on products that you make and can walk out the door and see and touch. So um,
Rebecca has a good question here in the chat. How many workers with the new expansion is GE needing to hire?
so um, GE Aerospace as a company are looking to hire 5,000 collectively, but the individual sites just kind of depends on their demand. Like I know our Asheville site is looking for maybe 100 to 150. Wilmington's probably about the same locally. In West Jefferson, I think we're trying to do about 50 to 70. So it just kind of depends on demand and internal attrition. But that's what we're looking for right now. For those apply or graduating in May, so we are currently hiring for January and March, so we will close the requisition probably within the next week or so, but we plan to reopen the requisition in probably January or February of next year. And so if they are 18 and have to have a high school diploma, those are the two main things we need. Um, they can, if they've met those requirements, they won't have their diploma by May, but we will hire throughout 2026. So if they don't meet the requirements in February, look for it to come open again about midsummer, and they could apply then. Um, those are the two main things: is being 18 and high school diploma or GED.
Good question.
Yep. Way to make me think on the spot. I like it.
Well,
Ah,
we really appreciate you meeting with us today. And like I said, the recordings will be available online. Coming up this November 10th, we have a veteran and job seeker fair that Monday from 1 to 4. If you are out there and you're looking for your next NC Works event, I suggest that one. A lot of employers. Also, feel free to come to the NC Works Career Centers to work on your resume. And if you need help applying with any of these, we dropped the link in the chat and we'll, of course, make that available on Facebook as well. But Kendra, once again, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And yeah, hopefully we can send some people your way. The Veterans Fair is November 10th from 1 to 4, and regular job seekers are welcome as well. We should have a whole slew of employers and resources. Anyway,
yeah,
have a great afternoon and thank you very much.
absolutely. Thanks for having me and appreciate it. And if you have any questions, Jacob has my email, so please feel free to reach out.
Bye for now, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.